despite disagreeing with a few of my colleagues who think the contrary or the opposite that I think, which is that Toyota is essentially right now the brand, the one brand that more than any other automaker currently has its finger on the market's pulse and is reading it correctly. Yes, fine, they were criticized and they've changed their mind about, electrifying fully its lineup over time, but in today's time, like 22, 23, 24, up until 25, maybe even 26, no other automaker has a lineup of cars that is so broadly interesting that meets consumer wants and needs and demands better. Because you can't really buy an EV right now. Okay, let's just put that on the shelf. Yes, it might be different in the US where there's some stockpile of ID4s and other EVs, but that's not the case in Canada and certainly not the case in Quebec. Back to Toyota. Because you take almost any, and as I'm saying it, I'm realizing, okay, the CHR is a disaster. It was a pointless effort, despite being the first product to be built on a TNGA. But every other product line they have at Toyota brings something to the table. And I mean, look, despite how old the 4Runner is, it's still, as far as I'm concerned, the best and realest SUV in a new version, hopefully in the next 18 months or so, will retain that. And the same with the Tacoma. It's still a mid-size pickup truck leader killer. The Sienna is by far the best, most interesting, most satisfying, most efficient minivan there is. And even among mid-size sedans, which have just basically lost all of their appeal, well, the Camry is still the most appealing. And I'm skipping over, the GR86. I mean, I'm kind of now just look at the badge. You can't beat that. The GR Supra, it's a slightly different story, at least as far as I'm concerned. But okay, so that all just funnels right down to the Corolla. The Corolla. There has never been a more complete, interesting lineup of Corollas in history. I just recently drove a fully pimped out hybrid sedan XSE all-wheel drive, and it just offers it all. And oh no, if you can't have a sedan, you have to have a crossover, an SUV. Well, there's the Corolla Cross that has exactly the same stuff. And if you want something a little bit different, you get a hatchback. And then that's where this one comes in, the GR Corolla. I feel kind of silly saying this, but thank you, Maurizo, and I'm using the name because GR Corolla. But look, it's this car is it's a blessing. It's actually a fluke that I have it right now, and I'm kind of driving it. As you can see, it's a little bit dirty. And look, I'm out in the country, as you can see. It's kind of pretty out here, quiet especially. Look, this car is as good as I remember driving it last year on Vancouver Island at the track, and my voice is kind of shaky thinking about this car, because the last car that did these things to me physically and emotionally was an FK8 Civic Type R. And that was 5 or 6 years ago, and the last time I reviewed one in calendar year 2021, well, if you've seen a few of my videos or read some of my reviews on Motor Illustrated, well, you know that I bought one. The wife and I picked one up, a brand new one. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to buy a GR Corolla, but if I had a little bit more coin, I probably would, because I'd have to keep the Type R, because this car has only one major fault, and it's just related to the hatchback, which I love, but because I have two small kids, it just doesn't work. So I'd have to have an FK8 CTR and a GR Corolla. But look, in the following video, we're going to do the usual tour walk around of this car. And by the way, this happens to be a Core in Supersonic Red. And as far as I'm concerned, bang for the buck, and I do literally mean bang. This is the version, this is the color, this is the car you want. I said this before in other videos, to save yourself some time. If you're thinking about buying a GR Corolla, just get your name on the list, make some phone calls, bug all the dealerships, even drive out to Toyota Canada and Toronto and knock on their door and insist that you get one. And if you want a Marizo, it's essentially too late. You can't even spec it out on Toyota Canada's website, though it's still available on Toyota US's website, but I don't know exactly what that means. Anyhow, this car, I don't want to give it up. I love it so much. I've been Corolla attacked to the soul. And yeah, so let's just walk and drive. Look, visually, the GR Corolla, there's just, it's all love. All love. It reminds me so much of my FK8, where Toyota said, okay, let's just, we have to start production in 3 weeks. We've got the front fenders figured out, but you know what? There's no time to figure out the rear ones. So let's just slap on some pieces of plastic onto the bumper, onto the quarter panel, a door, or make a bumper and slap on some plastic on the quarter panel and the door, and just call it a day. And it just works. There isn't a bad angle on this car. It's over the top. It's playful. It's ridiculous in many ways, but that's why I love it so much. It reminds me again of my FK8, and it's just so wide. I mean, it almost, I don't know, what else can I tell you? The rear is especially funny. I mean, it's got such a fat butt. It's like the sides of the bumpers have been pinched. And you see that? It's really funny, but it's magnificent at the same time. And the 18-inch wheels, they work so well. And still, my favorite part is right there. It's magic. It's just magic. Okay, pricing in Canada for, actually, we'll just do the US, $35,900. That, my friends, my American friends, is an absolute steal. For the core circuit, it's $42,900, still a steal. And the Marizo, which is still listed for sale, $49,900 in the US. In Canada, well, we only get the core, this core, $45,490. So worth it. And the circuit for $54,245. So look, basic equipment is it's a Corolla hatchback. So an 8-inch display, wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, heated front seats. Well, those are GR Sport seats, 18-inch wheels, and that about does it. But do you really need anything else? The answer is no. Now, stepping up to the circuit is the big question. Because for, I don't math, but for about $8,500, the extras are JBL audio, which is pointless. GR suede seats, which are kind of nice, but again, not, and same with the knob, shift knob. You get a bigger rear spoiler now, but that's probably an accessory you'll be able to buy. I mean, maybe that's the only visual about the core. The bigger spoiler is just, it's awesome. Carbon fiber roof, no. I don't care necessarily for that. Red brake calipers and the hood with the vent and the bulge. For $8,500, there's no point. I don't see it. I don't believe it's necessary. I mean, you spend the extra, I forget, $300, $400 for the color, and done. You can get the circuit in red as well, but again, do you really want to spend the extra $8,500? Quick tour of the Corolla hatchback. Now, Toyota wants you to believe that this is 504 liters. That's what's interesting. Of boot space, but there isn't. There's no, that's where that belongs. No. Okay, enough. Okay, composite. This is the problem. So there was the trunk and that. Look, that's my driving position, and that's my daughter's seat, and she's the smaller of the two kids, so I don't have the other seat in there. She can't even barely squeeze it. So you can't use this as a family car like I can the FK8. That's it. That's the end of the problems with this car. Because everything else, manual seats, big bolsters, big bolsters. Badge, important. Buttons, all that matters. All that matters. Now I'm about to ruffle the quiet in the surrounding area. Digital display, yay. 8-inch display, which will eventually load, yay. HVAC buttons, nice. Heated steering wheel, we're good. Important stuff. This This is for your diff. Is it gonna... Oh, does it have to load up? Oops. Knobs. Good stuff. Will it show up? Oh, it's not gonna show up because it's just loading. Yes, I know. I won't do anything crazy. Fine. There we go. Okay, is it gonna work? I can't see at the bottom of my screen. Yes, you can see it, the little green 3070, right? 60/40. And then track, which splits it 50/50, which is just magical. That's it. And then drive modes. And there you go. I mean, there isn't anything else to mention as far as that. I don't know why it's there. Eco. Normal is it's wonderful. Sport is awesome. And custom. Well. Anyhow, you know what? There isn't anything else to say. Let's make more noise. Oh, apologies for being so in your face. Trying to quietly leave the nice area where I was just at and not bother them. If mostly because, I mean, look, the highlight of this car is and remains and always will be the turbocharged 3-cylinder engine. I mean, it just, the sound that it produces, the NVH, is just so at odds with what you think a high-performance sport compact car noise should be. But it's thrilling, it's exhilarating, it's exciting, it's all of these things, and I absolutely love it. It's it'll be the talk of this car forever. It's I don't know, you probably can't hear it, but oh. It's crazy. It's just insane. And I mean, look, 300 horsepower at 6,500 RPM, 273 pound-feet of torque from 3,000 to 5,500 RPM, in a near 3,300 pound car before my butt is saddled into it. I can only imagine what the GR Yaris must be like. I suspect it weighs 200 to 400 pounds less, give or take. But anyway, I'm just happy we have this, and again, the fluke, the opportunity I have to drive this car, I just can't pass it up. Yeah, so what the power and weight ratio mean is that this is a sub 5 second, 4.99 seconds, 0 to 60, so to 100 kilometers an hour, 5.2 maybe, give or take, which makes it an insanely quick car for what it is, for the price, for... It's glorious. And look, in Canada, we have standard front and rear limited slip torsion differentials, meaning the power is always working for you, always at work. And the immediacy of the throttle response and the way the engine produces its power is on par with the CTR. The mechanically tuned perfection, mechanically injection, timing, whatever. It's perfection. That's all it is. And only these two cars produce it in such a way. Others have gotten closer. The WRX, the 2-liter, is great, but it's not like this. And I'm only in normal drive mode, as I showed you the drive modes, and it just gets better. You know, in sport it just gets a little bit dumber, and then custom you play around with that. The only thing that I think I mentioned I thought could have been a downer, mechanically speaking, is the dampers. And now that I'm on Quebec roads and I'm out in the country, the ride quality, a double wishbone in the front, non-adjustable dampers, is similar to that of my F-K when the dampers are not in sport. So when they're in their normal setting, not the default sport setting. And it's surprising. I mean, unless the road gets really, really bad, and you know, but even so, there's just enough give in the dampers and the springs that the ride is sufficiently decent. I mean, it's no Golf R, obviously, but that's why this car is so intrinsically, I don't even know if that's the right word, desirable and hot. It's that it combines the best, wildest stuff in the FK8s, and I am purposefully leaving out the FL5 and the MK8 Golf R. It's got, you know, as much abilities, despite not having actual torque vectoring like the Golf R, but it's so tossable, and with the adjustments you can make with how much power is sent either way and the limited slip on both ends, you don't even need torque vectoring. And it's got the wild side from the FK8 where it's just letting your hair down all the time, and it just wants to please you, and it doesn't care how it looks while pleasing you. That sounds terrible, but what I'm trying to say is that this car is the best of all worlds. And it's got, I didn't point it out, the steering wheel is very thin, and the grip is exceptional. This is an incredible, incredible car. Just you know, if you want to know, I mean, Toyota says you can combined average 9.8 liters per 100 kilometers, but if you're half as nuts about this car as I am and love hearing the 3-cylinder roar, I don't know, figure 11 and a half, and if you manage that, then good on you. And finally, because I'm just rolling the gears because it's so great, it's this mechanical, dry, direct, short throw shifter manual transmission that's just, it's so great. At this point, of all the people reviewing cars, I mean, it's all the explicatives that they use, or the adjectives that they use to describe how the shifter functions, it's all true. It's just good. I mean, I stepped out of my Golf manual and got into here, and for all intents and purposes, the Golf's manual transmission, it's just a regular sport wagon, Unitronic Stage 1, is fantastic. But this is just on a different level. It's up there with the FK8. I think maybe the FK8 has an even more satisfying engagement once you get into the gear. But I mean, realistically speaking, I mean, this is the closest you can probably get to actually getting your hand in the transmission and moving the forks yourself. Sadly, I'm stuck behind a Civic right now, but it is magical. It is glorious, and it's quick too. It's so quick. I love this car. I really, really, really love this car.